Once again, the Wildcats keep it close against Florida, and once again, they fall short in the end.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of the show, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 71-63 loss to the Florida Gators in the SEC tournament. A valiant effort, at least on the defensive end, but one of the worst shooting performances of the season derailed what could have been the biggest win of the season. We'll be breaking that down here for you on today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and eat it too. Birthday cake flavor is back, no fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love it if you subscribe to the show. And if you are listening on podcast, I would also appreciate it if you subscribe there as well. A disappointing end to the SEC tournament. One would argue an unsuccessful SEC tournament because yet again, you failed to get to the weekend in Nashville. But I think in terms of effort today, in terms of energy, not going to lie to you, this was one of the more complete games Kentucky has put forth in terms of effort. In terms of execution, that's a completely different story. The Wildcats, will start here, had one of the worst shooting performances they've had this season. Bridgestone has not been kind to Mark Pope's Cats through 4 games, 3 games in the SEC tournament, 1 against Gonzaga. And it was not kind to them today. I said yesterday, recapping Kentucky's win over Missouri, that they would need some shooting variants to fall their way. And yes, Florida did end up shooting very poorly in this game, and Kentucky overall played what might have been their best defensive game of the season. But they still could not get anything to fall, especially in the first half. They ended up shooting 35.6% on the game and 21.7% from 3, just 5 of 23 from beyond the arc. And the problem with Kentucky's poor shooting performance is that the 23 threes that they took, a large portion of them were so unbelievably wide open, especially Andrea Jelovic. And I don't mean to rag on one individual player here, but it does kind of, seep into the back of my mind. What would Andrew Carr have done in this game? What would his three-point shooting performance look like at power forward? Because he would not go 0 of 4 from deep with the clean looks that Jelovic got today. Jelovic 1 of 6 overall in this game, minus 13, but he wasn't the reason Kentucky lost. It was just a poor shooting effort all around. Jasper Johnson goes 0 of 2 from deep. Trent Noah had 2 phenomenal looks, and yet he continues to provide little to no value when he is on the floor. He played 3 minutes in this game. Missed 2 open shots. Otega Owei, we'll get to him in a little bit. Also a poor shooting performance. Colin Chandler going just 1 of 3 from deep. It was not what Kentucky needed if they were going to upset Florida. I've said, and I will continue to say, it's pretty hard to beat a team 3 times. So hats off to Florida. Great team. Probably the best team in the country right now, playing the best basketball. Kentucky almost beat them, and almost doesn't count for anything, right? As you've seen these games go on, the margin's gotten a little tighter. The game's been a little bit more competitive from start to finish, but the issues that Kentucky has had against the Gators just continue to rear their head, and I doubt these two teams see each other in the postseason. But if they do, Kentucky is going to have to yet again continue to clean up their mistakes and turnovers and allowing Florida to get out in transition. Even though the Gators only scored 71 points today, they still were able to capitalize in transition just a little too much. And not necessarily in transition, because their fast break points were only 10 as opposed to Kentucky's 18, actually. But it was just the tempo and speed where Kentucky would be one and done off of an open look that they just missed. And then Florida would very quickly execute on the other end where a player would be out of position early because of what happened in transition or an early switch down low. And if Florida missed, they got offensive rebounds. They crushed Kentucky on the boards today. 50 boards to Kentucky's 29. The Gators had 18 offensive rebounds and 21 second chance points. If you shoot 5 of 23 from deep yourself and the opponent is able to grab 18 offensive rebounds and get 20 plus points off of them, you're not going to win that game. And this is what I've talked about for a while now. Variance control, the possession game matters more than anything, in my opinion. And against a team like Florida, who has the luxury of playing basically 3 6'10" plus guys in their rotation, basically every time they want to run out a new rotation on the floor, they can just have one of the tallest teams in the country that can also handle the ball, that can pass, that can create for each other. This is a complete team. This is a really, really good team. Howe, Chinyulu, Condon, Hanglockton, they're all very, very, very good players, and they're tall and they're athletic, and they just work well. They've been in this system for a while, and they executed today against a team in Kentucky that looked like they were playing their third game in 3 days. It's disappointing for Mark Pope to finish 21-13 this season before the NCAA tournament. It's disappointing to shoot this poorly again. So it's disappointing for Pope, some of his coaching decisions in this game. It's disappointing for the players and their lack of ability to execute when given the opportunity. A better team would have won this game. A better team would have knocked down those shots that Kentucky missed. A better team would have fought harder for rebounds. Unfortunately, Kentucky is limited by personnel, some coaching decisions, energy, fatigue. It's just not that good of a basketball club. And they could absolutely turn things around and make a run in the NCAA tournament. Not saying that's impossible. But you got to be able to do the little things right and capitalize when opportunities arise, and they didn't do that today. I want to break down kind of some of the things that they did to Florida defensively, because I thought it was a really, really great defensive performance. And then I want to talk about Otega Owei and his game in 39 minutes. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. We'll be breaking that down here for you in just a little bit. Before we do it, though, tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read that evening. You can mix spreads, totals, player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold. Ride with the team you've been riding with all season. It's your parlay, your style, and now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by Coast Pay. Coast Pay is giving Locked On College listeners up to $2,000 in credit for your business when you get started today. So if you manage a crew, construction, HVAC, landscaping, any operation with trucks on the road, you already know how messy gas and materials spending can get. Cards can get shared, receipts disappear, and month end turns into a headache. Coast Pay fixes all of that because they are a modern fuel card expense management tool specifically built for fleets. Fuel, maintenance, materials, it's all in one card with real control and instant visibility. Every transaction shows up the moment it happens. No surprises. If someone fuels up at it on time or tries to buy something outside their limit, you'll know instantly. Right now, Coast Pay is offering our listeners $2,000 in credit when you get started at coastpay.com/lockedoncollege. Go to coastpay.com/lockedoncollege to see how you can earn up to $2,000 in credit. Terms apply. The Coast Visa commercial credit card is issued by Celtic Bank. All card accounts are subject to credit approval. All right, continuing along here on today's episode of the show. 71-63 is the final score. Cats can't get it done in Nashville. Another poor shooting performance limits their ability to capitalize on Florida's mistakes and their poor play. And the Cats are out of the tournament on Friday yet again. As I've mentioned, and as you probably would agree, it's unacceptable. I mean, there are two sides to this. You can simultaneously acknowledge the team's shortcomings, their limitations, the things that they aren't able to do because of their injuries. And you can also acknowledge that this has been a pretty cruddy season. It's been a bad season. This is the worst season that I can remember since the COVID year. I don't know if it's particularly close, and I know what happened in Tshiebwe's second year with Kentucky, and with them finishing 22-12. I mean, that season also disappointing as well. However, I would argue that this one's more disappointing just because of how high the expectations were for this roster, for this team, for this coach. After a Sweet 16 appearance for the first time since 2019, Kentucky just falls flat on their face. And they got up to 17-7. They lose at home to Georgia. They lose on the road to Auburn. They have that game stolen, and that game, if Auburn gets in the tournament, will basically be the reason why they're in the tournament, is that called charge on Chandler when there should have been a defensive foul called before that for the hold that was on that play. You give up a 29-3 run to Texas A&M. You lose at home to Florida. I mean, what can I say? You had opportunities this year, and the team's just not that good. Just not that good. They did, I think, put together their best defensive effort of the season, in my opinion. Actually, today is their best defensive effort in a loss, according to Ken Pom. And it's not particularly close. Unfortunately, you score 63 points and you shoot 35% from the floor. You turn the ball over 12 times. You give up 18 offensive rebounds to Florida. And that's part of the reason why Kentucky couldn't come back, right? Is even a poor shooting team can overcome poor shooting if they have more possessions. Unfortunately, Kentucky got whipped in, again, variance control possession game today, and Florida just had the ball for longer. They just had the ball for a lot longer. But even in that time that the Gators had the ball, they also themselves turned the ball over 18 times. And it was sloppy from everybody. I mean, 6 of the 8 players that got in today for Florida turned the ball over at least twice. Everybody it turned it over at least once. Everybody did at least once. Boogie Fland was terrible. 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting. Xavier Lee was more efficient, but still finished with 3 turnovers in 31 minutes. Thomas Howe was, frankly, just underwhelming. 13 points on 2 of 9 shooting. Clav Shar was 0 of 3 from deep. Isaac Brown, was 1 of 5 from the floor. The 2 players that really beat Kentucky, and maybe you could say 3, were the bigs. Alex Condon had a phenomenal game, 22 points, 10 boards in 36 minutes. Han Glockton grabbed 4 boards. Chinyelu grabbed 10. And it was rebounding. Rebounding and not being able to knock down a couple more outside shots. That's what separated Kentucky and Florida today. And this is what good teams do. This is what elite teams do. When they have off nights and they're in the mud and they're playing a dogfight, they find ways to win. And that step back 3 from Xavier Lee at the end of the game was the dagger. I mean, it was a phenomenal play by Lee. I believe Jasper was on him. And I'll say this about Jasper real quick. Jasper, I don't think, played well today, but he certainly wasn't the reason Kentucky lost. I didn't have any issues with the minutes that Jasper played today. Maybe you disagree on that. This is the first game where I'm looking up and saying, like, I'm not mad at both the effort and what he's providing on the floor right now, and give him a couple more shots. One of them's going to drop. At least that's how I felt. That's how I felt for this entire game. And we saw what happened. So, but Kentucky, I thought, was physical. I thought they fought hard. I thought they gave Florida the punch in the mouth that most teams this season just haven't really come close to, especially in conference play. This was the defensive effort that the Cats needed. The fight, unfortunately, did not result in closing out possessions. Just too many offensive rebounds, and too many fouls as well. Florida getting to the line 33 times in this game. Only made 24 shots from the free throw line, I should say. But getting to the line 33 times and giving up 18 offensive rebounds. Again, the margin was, I wouldn't say thin between these two teams, but it was it was close. It was darn close because of the effort that Kentucky gave on defense. It just wasn't quite enough. And I fear in the round of 32, if Kentucky wins their first game, there is no guarantee that they are even going to find a way to win by 1 against whatever 10 seed that they more than likely match up against. They could get blown out by 30. I mean, this team could fall flat in their face and give up, and that could be the season. But I fear that whatever team in the round of 32 that they see on that 2C line is going to do what Florida did today, whether it be Houston, whether it be UConn, whether it be Iowa State, whether it be Nebraska. Possession game is going to end up killing Kentucky again. And I don't see a hot shooting performance in this team's future. I'd love to. And speaking of shooting, we got to talk about Otega Owei because he was bad today. I think this might be the worst game of the season for him. And there's reasons behind it, but also I want to, we've talked about it a lot, but I want to kind of give the encapsulating criticism of this team and some of the personnel issues here, at least with the players that are healthy. We'll do that in a second. Before we wrap up the show, tell you guys about our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, so like skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Here's a stat that says it all for you. In the 30 to 45 seconds, minute or so I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who actually check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. It is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Today's episode is also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. The 5-Hour Energy flavor draft has been on. 18 different flavors to choose from. I've had my pick locked in. I'm not going to stray away from it. But I do want to note that while, yes, I am taking Confetti Craze first overall off the board, incredible flavors, a lot of great picks here that you could go for, I do want to make it known that as a fruit flavor junkie, when I get a little bit of grape, when I get a little raspberry, when I get a little cherry underrated flavor. You can't go wrong with 5-Hour Energy. Frankly, any of their flavors. So not just Confetti Craze, not just some of the more fruit flavored stuff, Fruity Rainbow, cotton candy. There's literally something for everyone. And you get all of this energy, that boost, that kick with zero sugar and 5-Hour Energy shots. They are incredible. You can find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. All right, wrapping up the end of the SEC tournament for Kentucky. 71-63 is the final score in Nashville on day 3. Game 3 of the SEC tournament for the Cats. 21-13 is what the Cats finish. Before Selection Sunday, we will be back, hopefully, on Sunday to give you my thoughts on the bracket, Kentucky's draw, how I think everything's going to go. I don't think you have high hopes. I don't think I have high hopes. But I think that's where we kind of need to rest, is that we have hope. Just to have hope blindlessly, irrationally in this team. Unfortunately, if they're going to make a run, they're going to have to get better play out of their star. The only player on this roster that could be considered anything above right now, just a role player, and that's Otega Owei, who, in my opinion, had the worst performance of his Kentucky career. 10 points, 5 boards, 4 turnovers, 1 block, 2 steals, 39 minutes, -8 plus minus. The 2 turnovers early were crucial, ended up being ended up playing a major factor in how the end of this game turned out. Imagine if you hadn't have turned the ball over in those 2 possessions and even scored on one of them, you're looking at possibly a tied game, a 1-point game, a 2-point game with a minute or so remaining in this contest. Otega, though, just not the ball handler Kentucky needs, and against a team like Florida who is able to hack and claw and scratch at you. And credit to them. Hey, whistles aren't blowing. Keep throwing punches. Why not? And I don't mean literally. You understand what I'm saying there. Unless you are, I believe, Condon, who elbowed Colin Chandler in the face, blood pouring out of his nose. Doug Shows, the best official on the planet. Actually, nobody's ever done it better than him, saying incidental contact foul in Kentucky. We saw this in the SEC tournament last year against Alabama. The officiating crews in this conference and in college basketball do not give a crap if your player gets hit in the head or if they're bleeding. Doesn't matter. It's a foul on you, brother. It's your fault that you got hit in the face. Sorry. I cannot. I'll reserve my comments on Doug Shows because it's not even close to the reason why Kentucky lost this game. But boy, does Doug Shows like to stick his arrogant nose in everything. He just loves to make it about him, doesn't he? Just a piece of work. But to go back to Otega, 5 of 18 shooting. You talk about the reason that Kentucky actually lost this game. It has nothing to do with piece of work Doug Shows. It's the fact that their star, Kentucky star, went 5 of freaking 18 from the floor. 5 of 18 from the floor. 3 of 9 in the first half, 2 of 9 in the second. Could not knock down an outside shot. And I would say a large portion of these shots were ill-advised, had no chance from the jump. He got swatted quite a bit in this game. Florida finished with 6 blocks. It felt like 12 because Otega was just putting up bull crap. And I understand the counterpoint to this is, yes, he's tired. Yes, he's played 39 minutes. He's not a kid. The dude's exhausted, especially after playing 3 games in 3 days and this being what he has to be on the floor. He has to play all of these minutes. But you could tell it got to him. The emotions got to him. That technical foul, though, that doesn't help Kentucky. It's just he didn't play good defense because he was tired. He had pitiful shot selection because he was tired and he's trying to play a hero ball. And he turned the ball over in some important moments. Worst performance of the season from Otega. And there's no other way to put it. Great player. Will be missed dearly at Kentucky. Great player. Really good player. Worst performance, it might be of his college career today. And it culminates, I think, because of fatigue, but that's not the main reason. There were some really dumb decisions made by Otega today, and you have to acknowledge it, and you have to challenge him and say, what can you be in the round of 64? What can you be in the round of 32? Can you be more controlled? Can you be better in decision-making and playmaking and getting other guys involved instead of just downhill driving into nothing, into a double team? It's not what you need from your leading scorer who's going to take 18 shots. Just pitiful, pitiful stuff today from Otega. And to wrap up the show, that's the problem with this team. They aren't selfless enough. They are not committed to the cause enough. Guys are playing out of position. They're trying to make stuff work. I get that. But hero ball at the end of the day is hero ball. You see it from Aberdeen. You see it from Oweh. Frankly, Yelovich wanted to run his mouth a couple games ago about how some guys are playing hero ball, and yet today I thought he took a couple of shots in the paint that just had no chance. Brother, what are you doing? Kick it out. You've got no chance against the 3-headed monster that is Florida's front court. You're not going to make this basket. Kick the ball out. It's whenever Kentucky gets a shot to fall, it's my turn. When can I shoot? When can Papa take a shot? Hey, let me get one up real quick, Unc. That's not going to win you basketball games. Team ball will win. Team defense nearly won today, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. We'll be back on Selection Sunday to recap the bracket, the draw, how I feel about everything. Another season nearly done, and I want to thank you guys again for watching. You can click the link in the description to join our bracket challenge over on ESPN. It's going to be a fun one. Thank you guys so much. It's been a year. It's been a season. You can follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnUK. Follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_, and follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all on Sunday for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and God bless.